Mayor Letham, Don wants to know, why does the city only sand the middle of the roads? City road workers have told me they can only do the middle and go down a country road once, but I've watched them sand my road twice each way, but down the middle only.
Yeah, it's a pretty standard practice. The amount they put on is a level of service that the city dictates, but it's pretty standard from my understanding across the country where sand or salt is applied to a road. Most of our roads have a slight crown on them, where they have a peak for drainage so that the water and material runs off. So by putting it down the center of the road, the traffic naturally pushes it to the sides. They found if you put it in both lanes on the side, a lot of it gets the cars go over it and it gets pushed off the road. So this keeps it on the road longer. It does make a better concentration in the middle. So as the traffic goes over it, you tend to get a little bit better traction you would in the center, which is better than having it in the ditch. So that's the rationale is that as it's applied in the middle, it'll eventually, with traffic, spread off to the sides and cover most of the road. So it's a pretty standard practice.
Okay. Elaine asks, why, when there's a snowfall, are the downtown sidewalks cleared and the streets are cleared, but then there's a huge snowbank that exists between the street and the sidewalk that's hard to navigate, especially for seniors? So there's no way for pedestrians to easily get over those snowbanks from their car onto the sidewalk.
Yeah, it's a tough, any downtown, has that issue. I mean, we have to put the snow somewhere. So when the plows, it's the BIA's responsibility to clean the sidewalks in downtown. Okay. So they do that. Obviously, they push it off to the side, by the curb. When our plows go down the road to clear it, obviously they push the snow off the road up to the curb, and hence you get these snow banks. A lot of the businesses will take the initiative to go out and and cut a pathway through those businesses for residents to park, and we hire contractors to come in and clear that snow away when it gets to a certain height. And it's about, I'm going to say it's almost just below a meter, 6 feet, or not 6 feet, I'm sorry, a couple of feet. When it gets to a certain height, then our contractor comes in sometimes once a week if it continues to snow, but it just depends on how big the snowbanks are. But once they get to a certain criteria, they come in the middle of the night when there's nobody on the main street, they'll clear it back to nothing, and then they'll leave room for more. So we don't leave it all winter long. It's just we don't clear the snowbanks out every single time it snows. We wait till they build up to a certain point, and then they come in and clear them during the night for the safety residents.
So just to sum up though, the BIA should be the ones responsible for creating those paths, or is it individual businesses?
It's mostly the businesses. The BIA is responsible for clearing the sidewalks, and a lot of business owners will clear their own sidewalk in front of their store. Okay. Most times the businesses I see, I'm not sure what the BIA does regarding the pass, but if I had a business downtown, I'd want to carve a little area through the snowbank in the meantime so that people parking on the street can access into my business. Mm-hmm. But again, once it gets to a certain height, then the city does come in and clear those away.
Okay. Candace says she's very concerned with drugs in Lindsay. How are you planning to handle this? As I moved here to be free of crime, she writes.
It's a tough question. I'm concerned about drugs, everywhere in our city, and drugs are, drugs are a symptom of, poverty and homelessness and mental health and a lot of other issues. So, we have a very proactive police force in Lindsay that meets with our hospital and meets with our mental health advocates. They actually go around every couple times a week, and they proactively meet with people in the community that are struggling, that they know have issues, and they try to get them proper counseling and such like that. So our police force does a good job at enforcing the issues that we have to. But I really compliment them on the initiative they've taken with some of our community partners to go out and meet with some of the people that are struggling, and as we try to deal with some of the homelessness issues that most small towns across the country, unfortunately drugs are prevalent, and we do our best to keep a handle on them. They've always been part of the problem, but some of the new drugs coming out, we're seeing them here in Kawartha Lakes, which is unfortunate. And we're just doing our best to cope with it. But I think getting out and getting these people help and getting them into programs and affordable housing that we're working on to try to get people that aren't homeless into a place to live where they can get looked after.
Like 68 Lindsay.
Like 68 Lindsay Street North. Yeah. We took 24 homeless people off the street and basically put them into that's the first way that we can help them get better. It's not just a question of arresting people because they're using drugs. It's let's treat the symptom, not always the problem. So I think we're on the right track there, and we'll keep on top of that one.
Okay. Carla says, please ask why I sent 3 separate inquiries about herbicide use on bridges but received no answer. I still don't know if the herbicide affected the turtles that nest there, turtles that she didn't see this past season.
I would have to know what her, where she was sending in a request to. I mean, if we have a whole tracking system for complaints, if somebody calls customer service, they'll be given a tracking number. If she followed the system properly, there should be a number that we can follow up on. I would urge her to contact us or contact customer service, give them that number. Why has nobody responded to my complaint? If the system was followed, I don't know enough about it to say it has. We hand wand around some of the bridges, some of the growth around some of the bridge areas. We do have to spray it. It has to be done, but it's all sprayed according to federal and provincial regulations. Short of hand, we have invasive species, and it's just unfortunately one of those things. We need to keep the growth down around some of our guardrails and bridges, and they do it by hand, so we're not just arbitrarily coating the whole area with the pesticides and herbicides, but at the same time we're trying to keep some of that growth down and some of these invasive species out of our community, and it's just finding the right balance. So we try not to overdo it, and but it is all very, very tightly controlled from a federal and a provincial level.
Okay, we'll follow up with Carla to see if can sort down the tracking number.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if she's followed customer service and got an actual tracking number, if that's the case, or if she's just complained to somebody. But if you want to file an official inquiry and get some information, that would be the way to do it.
Okay. Jeff says, why do we continue to dump tons of salt on the roads, destroying the water table for future generations? With today's tire technology, this much salt is not needed.
I think we have a level of service. It's a provincial minimum level of service that we have to maintain on our roads. We need to put salt on the roads right now to do it. I agree, tire technology is better. I disagree that we dump a ton of salt on our roads. We try to find that balance between the environment and safety of our residents, and we salt right now is one of the best substances we can use to above a certain temperature to get the ice off our roads, and we try to do it with as minimal input as possible, but at the same time safety of our roads and meeting that minimum level of service that we're required to do.